Star Wars Visions. When this was first announced, I was ecstatic. The idea of Star Wars anime seems like a match made in heaven, and I'm only an average anime enjoyer, mind you. It's clear that this was a test run to see what different anime studios could do with the vast universe of Star Wars, even if all their episodes are about the Force. And in its entirety, I really love the first season. And then we got a second season that expanded the roster of studios from Japanese to worldwide, and it's very apparent that not all these shorts are created equal, so let's rank them. This is, of course, my opinion, and it's probably worth noting that my favorite parts of Star Wars typically have nothing to do with the Force. So, as much as I love Star Wars and enjoy anime, the whole Force theme around all the episodes may not make me the best judge for them. And you can tell me in the comments why I'm wrong for putting Village Bride before I Am Your Mother. That being said, let's begin with... I originally had this one spot higher, but after thinking about how this episode infuriates me, I knocked it down to the bottom. Bandits of Golak. This is literally just a Rebels episode on a planet with Indian-inspired culture. I say inspired lightly because it literally just seems like you put the entire country of India on Tatooine. This brother is running with her Force-sensitive sister from the Empire. The sister is dumb and doesn't realize that using the Force has consequences nowadays. It's so boring and annoying. The action is slow, nothing really interesting, and
Jedi in Golak.
this is the worst lightsaber fight I've ever seen. Not even joking. I had to rewind the scene to make sure I saw it all right. It is slow. Neither side looks like they're using their arms correctly. Multiple opportunities to strike are left untaken in favor of dancing. This alone knocked it down several spots. I suddenly have an urge to go watch something with Darth Maul in it. I don't even want to talk about this one. In the Stars is bad, presents a horrible message, holds two incredibly unlikable protagonists, and better than average stop-motion animation, which can only get you so far. We see two sisters of the last of their species on a planet which the Empire has corrupted. Now, I don't think environmental messages ruin story. WALL-E is one of my favorite movies, but this one is just bad. The Empire poisons the water of the planet, so the sisters destroy the plant, spilling all the clean water into the polluted water. What?
If you're concerned about not having water, then why are you dumping it on the ground?
So the whales can't have it! Yeah!
The younger girl's whole point is that she's stronger than her older sister thinks, and she's so annoying. I just want to see her proven wrong. And out of nowhere, they can pull down an entire base with the Force. Luke Skywalker had trouble pulling out an X-Wing on his first try. Let that sink in. This entire episode is painful. I see the intention, but it just sucks. Alright, guess which season 1 episode is the worst? Did you guess Tatooine Rhapsody? Because you're wrong. You should be really surprised where I put Tatooine Rhapsody. TOB1. If I wasn't worried that showing you a couple clips would get me copyright strike, I wouldn't even talk during this section. TOB1 is a child droid of an armless professor who dreams of being a Jedi someday. But the professor says there's work to do. Oh, never mind. He encourages looking for a Kyber crystal, which, surprise to nobody, leads him to where the professor told him not to go. He attracts an Inquisitor, kills the professor off screen because he's a Jedi. So TOB1 finishes the research and...
Use the Force.
And Inquisitor...
Droid! A droid became a Jedi!
My name is Toby, and I'm a Jedi!
Am I on drugs? Oh geez, where do I start with this one? Sith looks good. It animates itself very well. It looks like a canvas to Spider-Verse's comic book style. It looks fantastic. But you know what doesn't look like? Star Wars. And yeah, I know a lot of the other shorts go off pretty out of left field, but this one takes a good half of its runtime to feel like Star Wars. For the most part, it's just an artist doing something. I still don't know quite what yet. How the world is built just doesn't make sense. Yes, it looks good, but I don't know what I'm looking at. And when the action sequence starts, yeah, it's animated great and looks fantastic. It's just, yeah, choreography is bad. Man, this was a bad start to season 2. Hopefully this is just a small blemish on what is otherwise a really great season, right? Right? I'm sorry, but I expected more from the studio behind Wolfwalkers. Taking place on an industrial planet, Screecher's Reach follows a group of kids that work on a steel mill, escaping to explore a place known as Screecher's Reach, which is supposedly haunted. While the venture is beautiful, the characters aren't all that interesting. The main one in particular, who makes a decision toward the end that makes her flat out unlikable. The Screecher's Reach itself is pretty much the best part, simply because it introduces the idea of horror in Star Wars. The animation on the ghost is pretty great, but it's just a little lackluster in the scare department. But I thought Dead Space wasn't all that scary, so what do I know? And like I said, the ending is pretty cruddy. Maybe one day we can get an Abeloth story on the screen, because this ultimately just disappoints. While making this video, I saw The Dark Knight Rises for the first time, and that's probably the best comparison I can make to The Pit. This is the darkest short. I mean, mining slaves get abandoned in a pit with seemingly no escape. That's not the only reason I compare it to Dark Knight Rises, but the real reason being is that it's well made, dark, and really not that entertaining. The short seems to be going for something similar to the prison arc of Andor, in which it just isn't nearly as interesting. It's not very well paced, it just is slow, and they get out by shouting, and there's not really any action to it. Look, it's made well, and it has props for being the darkest of the shorts, but I just don't like watching this one, and I honestly just can't recommend it in the end. I'm not quite sure what to think of Owl's song. The small girl is the daughter of a Kyber miner and has learned to stay silent, as her voice seems to trigger the Kyber crystals in some way.
Real babies are considered adopted.
Then she hears a voice call from a mine. She goes, she almost goes to her father. Turns out her voice was a very powerful form of the Force. It's fine. Stop motion looked good. Probably the best out of the 3 stop motion shorts, but still nothing overly impressive for the medium. Though that is coming from a guy who has somewhat high standards for the medium. It works. Nothing more, nothing less. The Village Bride. This is one of the longer episodes, clocking out at 20 minutes, but it would benefit so much from being shorter. 10 minutes go by where something of actual interest actually happens. The final climax fight is over in about a minute or so, and it's so boring. I don't remember it being this boring. Basically, nothing happens. The story here is simple. Tribolum is being married away to a bandit group, but the bandits are thwarted by a Jedi. This did not need to be 20 minutes. What kind of stinks is that the top episode of this list does everything this tries to do, but perfectly. We'll get to it when we get to it. The Village Bride 2.0. Next. Alright, now we're getting to the good stuff, and I'll be honest, I did not have high hopes for this one. I had heard that this was a worser one, but it surprised me somewhat. I wasn't blown away by it, but I did end up enjoying it much more than I tried to. The spy dancer sees a woman named Loie, no mom, that is not a joke, posing as a dancer at a special club where stormtroopers relax. Yes mom, that is a joke. But she's secretly a spy for the rebellion, putting up devices on stormtroopers and such, I guess, okay. But she sees an Imperial officer, and that supposedly destroyed her village, leading to an all-out brawl, and yeah, the action's pretty cool. At first I was annoyed by her actions, they just seemed incredibly inconsistent, but then we hit the big twist of the episode, and yeah, I'll be honest, I wasn't seeing that coming, and I actually kind of like it. I'm not going to spoil it, it's not going to actively make you want to see the short any more than you already do. But overall, this is a good little short. I thought it was going to be on the lower end of the list, but it ended up surprising me and making it up this high.
Come on and lose yourself now,
But you thought this one would be lower on the list. Tatooine Rhapsody is dumb, but not insufferable. A young Jedi escapes Order 66 by falling into a band van and joining the band. We cut to years later when Boba Fett is after the Hutt in the group to take to Jabba. My gosh, can you just put Boba Fett in something cool for once? It's about as good as a Star Wars band can be. It is kind of stupid once you ask questions like, this Hutt's death sentence is spared because his band played really well. This Jedi reveals he's a Jedi multiple times, and none of these high-ranking bounty hunters decide to turn him into the Empire. But like I said, it's not insufferable. It ultimately feels like a Lego episode in the end, and it takes creative liberties in the Star Wars universe where it can. It also has the cookie cutter, we're not just a band, we're a family thing, and the song they play isn't half bad. It's dumb, but it's fun dumb. Okay, imagine Aardman made a Star Wars short that was basically a Goofy movie, but with girls. And yeah, that's basically what this is, and that's not that bad. It's a cute, humorous short about a young pilot who's embarrassed by her mom and doesn't want to enter the family race with her, but ends up doing so anyway, and yeah, it doesn't get much simpler than that. It's basic, but entertaining. It sets out to do everything it wants to, be a growth story about a family, while it's also getting some fun comedy out of its goofy stop-motion animation. It's an Aardman Star Wars short. What else do you need? The twins. I like to think the writers of this short saw their 5-year-old playing with their toys and took notes. And it's better than The Last Jedi? What? The twins revolves around 2 genetically modified Sith twins that have this double Star Destroyer Death Star, what? Double Star Destroyer Death Star thing. But plot twist, the brother doesn't want to be bad anymore. The animation and writing are really reminiscent of the kids' show, down to cheesy dialogue references and loads of exposition.
This is our mission as twins created through the power of the dark side.
It is the same power that is transferred into the dark armor that you and your brother, Master Kare, wear.
Set for stun and open fire.
To a galaxy far, far away.
Really? So you have a bad feeling about this? She's going for the power core! Am has released too much power from the crystal. She can no longer control it, and now her armor is overloading.
But unlike TOB1, its storytelling is actually solid. You know what's happening on screen, even if everything doesn't make sense. Similar to the Super Mario movie, it has an audience, unlike the lower points of Star Wars that seem to actually despise the main audience. In the end, if you like seeing somebody on an X-Wing or use a mile-long lightsaber to cut a Star Destroyer in half, give this one a watch. Also, why does this droid need a space helmet, not humans? I'm not joking. Multiple times I forgot the Elders existed. Simply put, it's a Tales of the Jedi episode. That being said, a really good Tales of the Jedi episode. Seriously, Jedi and Padawan go to a royal planet, find Sith, kill Sith, bring Sith back. You could replace these two with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and it would make absolutely no difference. So, why is it so high if it's so forgettable? It's good. It definitely takes the least risks out of anything here, but whenever I do watch it, it's good. I'm entertained. I have no harsh feelings against this, other than the fact that I just keep on forgetting that this is an episode. Also, James Hong. Seriously, Mr. Ping is amazing.
The Sith became far too obsessed with trying to outwit each other. It resulted in them completely neglecting their destiny. And so they are now extinct.
Journey to Darkhead. By far the best episode of Season 2, Journey to Darkhead feels like an adventure. We follow this pilot and Jedi to destroy a giant statue, thinking it may turn the tides of the war, then encounter a Sith on the way who engages in some pretty dang cool lightsaber action. That essentially is the highlight, and the stuff leading up to it is cool but flawed. I didn't really like this pilot at first, but it only made it more satisfying to see her warm up to this Jedi. And other than that, it's just a fun adventure buddy short. Definitely a shining beacon over the pool of mediocrity that is the rest of Season 2. This is the one I have the most to say on, and you're probably gonna hate me for putting it up this high. Fight me! Lope and Ocho begins with a rabbit girl named Lope escaping imperial slavery and then being taken in by a local Yakuza leader named Yosuburo and his daughter Ocho. Nailed it! Time jumps 7 years, and we see a major family conflict. Ocho wants to completely subject the planet to imperial tyranny, believing that it'll be the best for the growth of the people, and Yosuburo knows what the Empire actually does and wants nothing to do with them. And Lope? She just wants her family to be together. What's interesting is that neither Yosuburo or Ocho are painted in a negative light, when in reality, the real problem is the conflict between the two. And Lope really is the most interesting. She's soft-spoken, but gets her point across well. She was an Imperial slave, so she knows what the Empire is all about, but it's not outrageous to think that she would give in to them if it meant her family could be together. And when Ocho goes to fully join the Empire, Lope's reasoning isn't think about how terrible they really are, it's...
Think about this, Ocho! You know it would break Father's heart!
Yeah, in terms of characters, she's probably my second favorite in the entire show. And while most of the animation throughout Star Wars Visions is fantastic, keyword there is most, this one really does feel like a step above the rest, combining 2D and 3D animation where they're appropriate fantastically. So why isn't this higher? There are some pretty dang glaring issues. For one, we hear about Yosuburo's household and what the Empire does and how they can be good and how they can be bad, but we never really see it. We don't see the Empire taking down trees or helping those in need, or really how Yosuburo's household works at all. Heck, there's a line where Yosuburo says,
If I ever seem to favor Ocho over you, I apologize.
But we've really never seen any instance where this would be the case. Also, Lope just becomes a Jedi in the last act. Like, not even like just good at sword fighting. She just has the Force all of a sudden, and that's why she's my second favorite character in the show, because there just had to be some connection to the Force in this episode for some reason. So in the end, this feels like someone had been dreaming of making a Star Wars story like this for years, only to be told that they have to do it in 22 minutes. Evidence to suggest this is that, unlike other species in the series, Lope's species isn't just fabricated for the instance. Leppy appeared in the comics as early as 1978. Holy cow, these things predate Yoda. So while it's not my favorite, more than any other more than any other episode, I'd like to see more of this, whether that be in a show or even just a 60-minute long film. Maybe someday we'll see Lope once more. Yeah, come burn my house down. More than any other episode, this feels like a Ghibli movie. Like Princess Mononoke, almost. In a time where lightsabers have all been destroyed, the last of the Jedi come together to form a new Jedi Order. Meanwhile, a Sabersmith's daughter is on the run from these hunters trying to get the bundle of lightsabers to the Jedi. It's a great action-packed journey that combines slick vehicle combat and lightsaber action, as well as show growth, and it has a unique twist that, I'll be honest, I didn't see coming. All around, this feels like a truly exceptional episode of Clone Wars. And unlike the Village Ride, it makes use of all 25 minutes. This is the prime example of what can happen when you put Star Wars into anime, and it's fantastic, but not as perfect or nearly as jaw-dropping as... I don't even know where to start. Nothing peaks as well as the very first episode. Everything about this short is perfect, and I only want more of this, nothing else. This is all I need in my life. The duel tells a story of a mysterious wanderer who looks strangely like a Jedi as he wanders through a rural town that resembles those of ancient Japan. But a gang of bandits come to raid the place, led by a dangerous Sith with an umbrella saber. Don't lie, this thing rocks. And thus, it's up to the Jedi, the beacon of light, to fight off the horrible mistress of...
Your lightsaber blade is red! Coward!
Unfortunately, I am not a Jedi.
I said it before and I'll say it again. This short is perfect. The animation is beautiful. It all has this 3D canvas look, and anything that doesn't emit light is just monochrome. Not only does this perfectly reflect the samurai movies on which Star Wars is based on, it's also a great visual analogy to the fact that people aren't black and white. In Star Wars, we're kind of beaten to thinking that blue is good and red is bad, but watching two Sith duke it out in black and white really demonstrates how just because you're part of Group A doesn't mean you're Quality B. We also saw this a bit in Andor, and I absolutely love this theme. We don't know much about the Ronin, but we know he's of at least a little bit stronger moral fiber than that which the Sith has made them out to be. And speaking of which, the lightsaber choreography in this short is fantastic, some of the best in the series. This is the only short I regularly come back to watch, and I do hope we get some more work from Kamikaze Duga in the Star Wars universe. Oh well, if I ever get around to ranking all the Batman movies, rest assured I will be checking out Batman Ninja. And that was Star Wars Visions. And looking at other people's rankings and thought of the show, one thing is clear. This is one of the most varied pieces of Star Wars media, really having something for everyone. So I wouldn't be surprised if your ranking is significantly different from mine, and that's okay. One of the great things about Star Wars is that there's something for everyone, whether you're like Jedi, bounty hunters, or clone troopers. And Star Wars Visions takes that variety to the next level. And as much as I'd love to see some of these shorts expanded into movies or shows, that's really the beauty of it.
See, that's where I think you're wrong. Let me explain to you why you like Star Wars.
So please tell me why I'm a scumbag for putting the twins above Akakiri, because we're all entitled to our own opinions. Unless you like Banzas of Golok, seriously, what is wrong with... Thanks for watching all the way through, because man, was this a fun video to make. If you enjoyed it as much as I did making it, then you know what to do. Like, subscribe, the whole shebang. And with that, I'm done here. My name is AJ Plays, and please sign my petition...